right, welcome everyone. This is the AI and Testing moderated panel. My name is Tariq King. I have the pleasure of kind of hosting this discussion and driving it forward. We like this to be interactive, just to give you all a level set. If you've never been in any of my sessions, like this becomes Vegas, right? Whatever happens here stays here, except for the live stream, right? So just remember that. And I have, we have a, we have a sock microphone. Which which we'll explain later. But we want to make sure that you not only get your questions in for the panelists, but if you have something to say, you can say it. And thanks for the socks. Here we go. All right. So what we'll do is start by just having our panelists introduce themselves. As you know, AI has been a hot topic, AI and testing here at the conference. There's been a number of tutorials. It's been mentioned in keynotes and concurrent sessions. And so all I did was kind of select, like, the best of the best that are speaking on AI. Everyone coming from a different background and perspective on using AI in testing. There's no wrong answers. There's just discussion, open and honest. I haven't preceded any questions to any of them, so they're just as surprised as you are as to what will happen here. But the idea is that let's just have authentic conversation when it comes to AI and testing, right? All right. So I'll start from my right here. Diani, you want to introduce yourself and make sure that you just say a little bit about like what you've done in the space, or if you had a talk or a tutorial at the conference related to AI, what that was all about.
Thank you, Tariq. Yes, Diani Santiago. I have been a testing nerd for about 15 years. I started as a test engineer and became really passionate in test automation. And since then, it's really been my, my passion to try to evolve test automation. And a lot of the advents of AI that are recently happening, we're seeing a lot of advancements, is really exciting to me. Because we're starting to see that AI is helping us really supercharge our automation capabilities, and we're literally just getting started thanks to some of these recent advances. I actually taught a tutorial here at StarEast earlier this week, specifically around this topic of how we can leverage AI for test automation. And I'm currently an engineering manager at Indeed, and yeah, really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Yanni. Dimitri?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Dmitry Gumenyuk. I do have 17 years of the experience in software development, and currently I'm heading the portfolio of the products. So I'm head of the testing products in EPAM systems. You might know me through like Report Portal, Selenium, other tools. So practically I contribute a lot into the open source and drive the open source solution. And most of them are focused on application of ML and AI in scope of the test automation, first of all. And we definitely will hit the test case, like functional test cases as well, maybe even performance and yada yada. So this is the way where I go. This is the way which I currently trying to advance with the applicability of all those AI-ish stuff, which is like going around. Thanks.
Awesome. Stacy?
Hello, my name is Stacy Kirk. I am the CEO of QualityWorks. We are a consulting firm that does everything from helping organizations create AI infrastructure to helping them staff and get projects out the door. About 3 years ago, we launched a product called Quality Watcher that leverages AI to help testers, especially those that are newer to the field, be able to generate test cases in seconds with, pretty limited information to go off of. And at this conference, I spoke on Fast and Furious and how do we get to the next level of productivity, which of course requires us to do AI. And I don't know, I think I'm at 27 years in the field of QA. And my first training on automation to a team was back in 1999. So it's been a while.
Thanks. Lisette?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisette Zuno. I have about 20-year experience in testing. I am the head of AI, QA, and Agile practice at Zixware Solution, which is a company that I own. I focus on working with a startup and small business on increasing their productivity using artificial intelligence, AI solution, and also allowing them to see how they can find efficiency in their LCLC cycle. One of my passion is really talking about confidence, which you're gonna hear this afternoon on the closing keynote. So don't miss it.
No spoilers. All right, Kevin.
Hello, everyone. Kevin Piles. I've, from the AI perspective, been pushing AI for at least 6 to 7 years, presenting on what we could do with AI, which was pretty much nothing 6 to 7 years ago. And now you can do it with a simple prompt through ChatGPT. So things are changing, and yeah, and you're all sick of introductions anyway, so we'll get to the questions.
All right, so I just have one question to start it off, and one question to round it off, and then all the other questions I'm hoping will come from the audience. But let's start thinking about like the current state. I think, as Kevin kind of mentioned, we've had quite some years now where it sounded like this whole idea of AI for software testing was very new. There wasn't a lot going on in the space. There were probably just a few of us working on some things. And now we're kind of in this space where it looks like, hey, we have AI at our fingertips. So from anyone's perspective, really, the floor is open. Give me your take on what the current state of the art and the practice is. Like, where are we right now? And where do you see AI being used for software testing activities? Like, what kind of activities, and maybe how likely it is to be successful in the current state? Don't feel free to jump first.
I'll go first since I went last. All right, so I believe that everybody should be partnering with AI today, and you should be testing it. You're all testers in every aspect of what you do. So now the second part of that question was, where will you be successful? So you should be testing it with everything from the beginning to the end of the software development lifecycle. Where will you be successful? You'll be successful about 80% of the time, where AI will help you accomplish whatever task it is that you're working on. If Tariq wants to give a lightning keynote, he can start asking ChatGPT, and it will get him about 80% of the way there, but then he has to use his brains to get him the rest of the way. If you want to write some test cases, ask ChatGPT. It will get you about 80% of the way there, and then you'll have to do the rest of the work yourself. So that's what I've seen, and you guys can further on some other ideas, I'm sure.
I feel like it's very controversial, giving like a 80%. Me being a scientific, I'm wondering like where's that 80% coming from? But I tend to agree that our reliability on AI technology is definitely gonna evolve, right? I don't know if we're gonna be 80%, but to your point, Kevin, definitely embed it in your practice, day-to-day practice, as in, is that going to be a requirement? I was on a talk yesterday where we were talking about how to use it in a requirement. So I always caution team to look at where you have a real need for increased productivity, and then infuse the tools into your system, SDLC practices, and see where you can get the most productive. But I particularly cannot just blindly say like, okay, I think it's going to allow you to supercharge or increase 50% your automation rate. I don't think we are there yet.
Yeah.
I love the controversy. Let me give another spin on that.
Told you we didn't have Jason to keep us all.
No, yeah, I'll be Jason.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'll say we're testers. Test it out. We've got 80, maybe not 80, but one of the things that I shared is we got to use it every day. So I feel like AI is my new puppy. I'm sorry for those that are dog lovers, right? But I'm not, I don't have a puppy or I don't have a dog, but it's like, hey, come on with me right quick. Let's go on this walk. And so almost every day I have a question in my mind. And as testers, we have questions every day in our mind. I just throw it in GPT. I'll ask the dumbest thing or this, hey, I'm thinking, what are the risks of testing these type of APIs? And I just throw it in. And you find that even if it doesn't give you the perfect answer, it gets you thinking in a direction that will save you time. I attended Julia Pottinger, who's with our team of QualityWorks, and she was sharing about API automation. She was showing all this code. I don't know if anyone was in there, but it looked like a lot of work, you know. And then, you know, get to the end, and there were some people that kind of walked out like, I ain't doing all this, right? And then you get to the last part, and she's like, well, now let me show you how easy AI has made it. And she took one schema, she put it right in there and said, give me the API automation, and blah, blah, blah. Out came all of the code that you needed. So the one thing that I thought, I think is really challenging is today, it could be 80, or tomorrow it could be 40. But it changes every day. And even talking on this topic, you know, right now I could go back out there and I'll get something that was even better. So I just encourage us as testers, especially, just try it every day. Try everyone's tool. I know I was talking with someone, they're like, I tried this tool and it was not giving me the validation points I wanted. And I was like, guess what? Try another tool, because there's some that do it really well. And I think that's the exciting part. Like, we don't know what we're gonna get, but we've got this little puppy, this little companion that we can just kind of play with and enjoy and kind of see what happens.
Got it. Thank you. So I probably will second on the AI partnered stuff. I call this as AI augmented period. So we're stepping in, maybe already we stepped in the AI augmented period of development. And it's not like we should be afraid of this stuff, but rather than learn, experiment, and use it as yet another tool as a part of our tool set. Because if you just like remind yourself, 20 years ago, what was expected from the software tester? Just to know a little comparison, or like fraction of everything what current or like modern testers should do. They should know like what is the databases, relational, not relational, all of that stuff. And the AI, I mean like Gen AI at least, will just become yet another tool which helps us to optimize and boost our efficiency. So we will do a bit more work, a bit more outcome with the higher value and quality than it was before. But still, it's not like our work will go out and we all will be fired. I'm not sure. Well, no, we just will do this work differently. And we should think about that from other perspective. If we will have the opportunity to generate all the code of the application with the, I don't know, like Gen AI or the next GPT 6, 5, 7, whatever, we have to test even more, because the cost of the development will actually go down, which will increase the list of the companies, or the minimum required budget for companies to step into the development. So we'll have more and more companies start to develop the things and tools for them, and which practically brings us a way more work to do on top of that. So it's not like we should afraid and stay away from it. No, we should learn, try, experiment with that. And definitely we are currently on the kind of the toppest point of the hype cycle with the Gen AI. I mean, like you probably saw it today, like these days. Everything is AI, here, there, and yeah. But in reality, as soon as the smoke will go down, as soon as we'll see only mirrors, in a maybe 3 months, maybe in a half a year, we'll find out where is the best applicability for those tools. I mean, like especially for disruption from the LLMs and from the Gen AI. And again, don't forget that we still have those old school ML. It's still in place. It still works. It's still a part of the tool set we have. But the Gen AI will just become yet another puzzle in the big picture of all tool set we use.
All right, Diony, I guess by default, you got to say something now.
I do. So I think this is a very interesting question. So let's talk first about current state of the art. I'm sure a lot of us write code, right? Whether it's automation, your page objects, your test scripts, whether it's API test automation or integration tests or contract tests, whatever the case might be, we all write code. Well, I think we're in a situation now where you no longer really need to write code, because you know the test cases that you want to automate. And there's many examples of each of these different things. There's so many examples of page objects, of contract tests, of test scripts, so on and so forth. So one of the things that you can do right now is you can actually show ChatGPT examples of the things that you want it to generate. You don't need to rely on it already knowing. You can actually give it the knowledge, especially with the new concept of GPTs, where you can precede your own custom GPT with additional knowledge that it was not necessarily trained on. And that's a really powerful feature. The idea is, like, one really, really practical thing you can do now, right, is you can give it examples of your scripts that you've already built, tell it what test cases you want it to generate, and it will do a surprisingly really good job of generating new code for you. And so if it's not quite there yet to be able to generate test cases on its own, at the very least, you can use it to really boost your efficiency for all of these different tedious tasks that we have to do today. And you can give it the knowledge that you have about the test cases and other examples. Now, what is it going to look like in the future? I'm going to channel.
I didn't ask you about the future, though.
Where is it going?
All right, let's hold off on the future.
I'll hold off on that.
Yeah,
I was ready to channel Jason, but I'll.
No. All right, let's stick with current state, right?
All right.
What I want to do, because we're definitely going to talk about the future. There's a lot that opens up, and I'm trying to keep this contained and streamlined that we make it to the finish line here. But I want to open up for questions. Kevin, can you pass me the sock mic there? I know it doesn't look like a microphone, but it is, right, senor? This is a mic. All right. So, all right, we got a question right. Hold on. All right. Will this break if I throw this? No? All right. I know. You can see me afterwards on the court. All right, go ahead. Speak into the microphone.
To the side.
Oh, this is the mic?
Yeah, that is the mic. Yeah,
Seriously?
Yeah, it's the mic for the people.
Okay,
on the,
all right,
yeah.
fantastic.
New feature. You still got to project your voice, but
Okay. With all the tooling that's coming out right now and everything saying AI, do you have any recommendations to cut through all of the noise and identify what will actually be useful to you? Because right now it's overwhelming trying to identify exactly what is useful and what is not. Any recommendations and tips from the group?
all right, anyone?
I'll start with the tip of an article by one of my colleagues about where AI goes wrong in the journey. A lot of people start with, what tools should I try? Where we should start is, what problem do I need to solve? So the first question is, what is the pain point for us as testers? Is it writing all those manual test cases with steps to reproduce and having to put it in the system? Or is it debugging our automation code when we get errors and we don't know where it is? I think the first thing you should probably do is say, this is the problem that I want to solve. And then that kind of will weed out a few of those technologies. I think it's smart of us, before we go and, you're going to get, everyone's got AI, right? Every tool, we've got AI. But you want to be intelligent about what you already know is possible. And so it's a good place to start with using ChatGPT or other free tools. QualityWorks has a free tool. But you want to just try something that's free, something that's easily accessible, and test what it can do on its own without having to pay for a service. And then I think you'll go, okay, I put in the results from my test run, and it gave me some feedback on where I should need to target. Okay, I can see. It's not that great, but I can see where it is. And then you can start to talk to companies and say, how do you solve this problem? And see what additional value they're going to give for you. So I didn't give you a specific company, but that's my suggestion on starting.
Yeah. So one thing I'll add in here is, so I think it was about, about 6 or 7 years ago, I went to a conference in Malaysia. I'm actually going to that conference again this year. And the title of my talk was AI-driven testing, fad, fiction, or future. And one of the things that I wanted to do was address this very thing. Now, back then, there was a lot of people, I guess there still is, a lot of vendors and folks talking about their AI platform. Everyone was everyone had AI apparently, right? It was ML platform. And when you started to dig into it, they really didn't have a machine learning platform. They may have been using some statistical methods, right? And there's a whole well, some of them were just using conditional logic. This is true, but some of them had some sort of statistics, and you can use linear regression. You can use all these things to do things that are not machine learning, right? I mean, AI and machine learning is about trying to simulate cognitive intelligence, learning, etc. And I used to tell people, go and ask the vendors specific questions about what their platform does, how it was trained, what kind of data did they use to train it, how did they test that it was trained. If they can't answer those types of questions, or if you know more about how systems are trained than they do, then they probably don't have machine learning, right? Like, I mean, you should be able to speak to this stuff intelligently. And just kind of be a little critical of it, because that a lot of this is being used for advertising and for marketing. And it's unfortunate, because I think for years that kept people from believing that it was there, until all of a sudden we had it at our fingertips. And some people were like, oh, I missed the train, right? I missed everything because I was kind of too busy like trying to sift through the noise. So try to get through it quickly. What are they using it for? I love Stacy's answer: AI problem first, then solution. But once you get to looking at their solution, force them to tell you how they're using machine learning, right? All right. Any other thoughts on that from anyone? All right. Sock, there we go.
So AI has been a buzzword forever, and now it's all about Gen AI or GPT related. So is there any relation to the AI from forever ago as opposed to Gen AI that you guys are kind of addressing today?
Anyone? It sounds like a Dione question or a Dima question, but I don't want to push them.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that's happening, I know that we all nowadays are thinking about GPTs, right? And that's kind of the new hype curve, as was previously mentioned. But the reality is that some of these GPTs are actually becoming an interface for other ML techniques, right? So you're seeing things like multimodality. So maybe I think 6 months ago, I'm not exactly sure when, but say 6 months ago, you were not able to upload an image to ChatGPT, and now you can, right? And I think that behind the scenes, what's starting to happen is that GPTs or ChatGPT is essentially, and other related AIs, right, like Claude, for example, are starting to become an interface for that encompass behind the scenes a lot of these traditional ML techniques that have been developing over the years, right? So it's not just Gen AI, it's not just being used for generating new things, it's also being used for solving pre-existing problems that like computer vision problems. Like if you want to detect certain things in an image, you can upload that image to ChatGPT, and it's not really a Gen AI problem anymore. It's a computer vision problem. But the really nice thing is that by creating this unified interface, companies like OpenAI and other tools are essentially creating a one-stop shop, if you will, that gives you access to all of these technologies that have been evolving over the years, right? So it's not just a gen aspect of it.
The thing about these Gen AI stuff is it looks for us supernatural, right? Like you speak with the colleague or you're speaking with the person. And this is what was missing for quite a time from the majority of the ML stuff. Because back in times, it's just like numbers on the screen. You put something in, you get something out, and okay, probably that's the right answer. But with the Gen AI, and we got this feeling like we speak with somebody who gives us the answers, right? It might be a smart guy, but sometimes it's like a drunk smart guy, right? It hallucinates and it tells you the story which never happened, but it tells you so good that you start to believe in that. And I will second again on the agree with the multimodality is the next stage for it, and including the possibility to bring up the embeddings. So practically give the context to this thing you want to resolve, you want to achieve. And here's the like those modules which can actually do some of the separate work or like use other models quite more efficient than just use the general thinking or objective. And once we'll start to combine those separate steps in the form of like multi-model schema, in the schema of, let's say, tree of the decision making, like where the Gen AI model can give you a pretty solid plan how to resolve it, because it has a kind of the thinking and understanding of overall common things. It gives you a nice solid plan. Then this plan executed with this separate little modules, which might be a dedicated ML models for something. Then you bring up the embeddings about here's my testing framework, here's my requirements. Now, please give me something as a good output. And for us right now, it's like a supernatural way to work with the ML. Like you can literally speak with that. You can even use it like voice to text approach on the phone and just explain what you need. And it will be smart enough to understand even if you like speak broken language, right?
Yeah. So you bring up something really useful there, that I think is a good segue when you call the AI drunk. Not sure if I would use those terms, but funny drunk, right? Yeah, funny drunk. But I guess my question to the panel and to kind of shape the conversation here is, we talked about current state, a lot of it on the optimistic side of what AI can do for us. Of course, we brought up some challenges, and in particular hallucination. But just from anyone on the panel, what are you guys and ladies thinking of are the major challenges that we have to overcome in this current state before we can take this technology to the next level?
Yeah, challenge. First of all, there's seat in the front for those of you in the back.
Thank you, Lisette.
Yeah.
For those who are allergic to the panelists, just front row.
We don't bite. But to the question, what are the challenges, right? I think for me, it's two-pronged. We have the challenge of perception still from a humanistic perspective, right? Like, is this something that I should use? And I want to go back to the question that you had about the natural language piece. That's the reason why I got excited into AI like almost 15 years ago, because I felt like there was a lot of perspective for human being to actually have conversation with machine and algorithm. And with Gen AI, it allow not geek us, but general folks that are not even in this room to get excited about AI. So that's why I'm a little bit weird. Like, why people that are not into technology are excited by AI, and us technologists are a little bit not sure, what's happening there. So we got to work on that perception that it's not going to take over our job. And every year I feel like we still need to talk about that. But the second piece is, what is the technology can allow us to do, and tester community, right? This is going to be a game changer for us, because we are going to be testing all kind of application, and all the application that we'll be testing, we have AI embedded in it. Just that's what it's going to be. So the perspective is, it's here, we are using it, and we tester need to buckle up and make it as part of our day to day.
Very well said. Anyone else?
That's a tough question.
Wow, it's hard to follow Lisette's answer.
So clearly, I think we're going outer space with AI. If you were at my talk yesterday, so I don't want to be the doom and despair person, right? But I also think I don't want us to just say, all of our jobs are 100% safe. This is just going to help us be better. Like, no, there's going to be some jobs that are going to be lost from this. But I do think we are in a great position, as I've shared yesterday. We're in a great position because a lot of people are just thinking about technology. But what we know is technology is just a part of it. There is process, there is people, there's culture, there's all these other pieces that are going to actually make AI work. And I'm very much came here with the platform of, I've seen some amazing things. I've seen agents And, Jason has his agents, Jason Arbon. I've seen agents that can do a lot of what we do as testing. And I think those agents are going to continue to get smarter. And these are AI agents, just to be clear. And I think they're going to get smarter. But if we right now think, okay, this is going to come, this is going to happen, and this is where I want to be in that story and that journey, I think we're going to be in a good place for it. But we do have to start to really think, where is our role going to be in this AI journey? Because things are going to change. I believe they will. It may be slow, but I think, of course, it'll be faster than it's ever been before.
I would like to add one thing. I think right now a lot of us are skeptical, and that's a good thing. Skepticism is a good thing. When you're having an AI essentially generate new things, we have to be skeptics. We have to verify that and validate that, and there has to be a human in the loop. Some of the challenges, I think, are already showing themselves, right? Like, these GPTs are hallucinating answers sometimes, and they're very confident when they do so, right? So they will say, certainly, like, I will answer your question. And they will, I believe, Kevin, you told me that you asked the AI to go search a website, and it said, certainly, I'll go do that. And it gave you an answer that was wrong. And then you told the AI, that's wrong. Did you actually search the website? And it said, no, I didn't. Let me go do that. Right? And so I think that's the challenge that we're going to be dealing with. Now, it's going to get even more challenging, right? Because the skepticism is going to start to go down. It's going to start to dwindle as we get more confident in this technology. And so a few years from now, we might not be as skeptical, but we really should continue to be skeptical, right? It's like full self-driving in a vehicle. You start to get confident that it's doing a really good job, and then you kind of get complacent, and then maybe it does something bad and you're not ready for it, right? And so I think that's going to be one of the challenges, is we're going to start to let our guard down, and we really need to be careful not to do that.
All right, so just full disclosure. So I know some of you were in my AI tutorial, and I talked about my buddy that took me in his Tesla for full self-driving, and I risked my life for 7 minutes. Yeah, okay, now you know. But really good points. Let's go to the audience and see if there's any other questions around either challenges or current state. Again, we'll open the door for future in a minute. Go ahead.
In most of the
Make sure you speak into the Tricentis. Thank you, Tricentis, for sponsoring the
This one?
microphone.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So in most of the web tools where AI is embedded, I've seen them mentioning it's self-healing. So what does it mean, self-healing? Say, for example, if my test fails because the expected result is different from what actual, so it's gonna update the expected results in my test. Or can somebody elaborate what exactly is self-healing in AI
Yeah.
tools?
So we'll start. We actually have a product owner of a self-healing testing product here. So Dimitri, you can take that one, and then we can talk about the broader context of self-healing.
Yeah, practically the question has a broader sense of what is the self-healing. Specifically to the Selenium, which was referred by Tariq, we do have a little extension for Selenium-based test cases, which does the self-healing. And what it actually does, at the moment of the execution, when the locator is not found, the locator which was previously working fine, now not found on the screen, what the algorithm does, it actually grabs this previous snapshot of the page which reacted positively, and now has the new page and looking for the most, not like relevant, but the best option to react on this change. So it's looking, and in return, the algorithm returns you the set of the locators with the scoring, which one you should try the first. But not you personally, but the algorithm which repeats the action and find if it's right element to continue the test. And then gives you the report with the updated locator and yada, yada, yada. But that's all of that is just about the kind of the self-healing of the locators in the test. And the locators in the test automation is just like a part of all the story. For the broader sense, the next step might be that at the end of the execution, we might send the update, like pull request into the code to merge the change, to change the, not to, let's say, start with the locator, just change the locator in the code. the next step might be change the steps of the script itself. And maybe the next broader sense, if we have our test script written something like in the requirements or the test case management tool, which should be and will be updated by the algorithm to fix the script itself, and then fix the code which actually does this script. So it's like next level. I'm not sure if we will reach this point in a year or something, but this is where it goes.
Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the feature that I love, or I used to love when I was testing. And practically, as Dimitri mentioned, the idea is, if you recall, you have your automated test, you come back next day, and there's a bunch of failure, especially for web-based app in this case. There's a bunch of failure, and you have to spend like your whole afternoon to just figure out what's happening. So with the self-healing feature, what it gives you in a sense is the ability to re-execute your test, and as he beautifully explained, match the locator on the page and determine where there's a gap, like an X difference, and fix it for you. Some tools even give you the ability to just stop so you can come and inspect further. But as he's mentioning, tools are now giving you the ability to heal if it's a simple example like that, or you can create even some gap in your testing where you can investigate further. But that saves you time, and that's the whole idea of increased productivity. Now you can come back and you can inspect and see, okay, these tests self-heal, and you can go back as a human being, and improve on the tests with your automation, or allow the tools to do that for you. But that is the the game changing productivity that you gain, because I used to spend my whole afternoon doing this in a manual way after I run my automated test. So those are the features that, for us tester, these are things that will definitely save you time in the long run.
Yeah, and it saves not only the time for us as engineers, but it saves the ton of the time for the delivery of the product. Because at the end of the day, you can imagine, if you have 1,000 of the test cases as a regression which should be executed, and let's say 100 of them fail because of the change locator on the screen, but that's like a minor change which can easily self-heal in runtime. Not only you saving your own time to troubleshoot, but you actually giving the feedback back to the developers that everything passed, and here's your little report where you have to go and update your locators. You give, like, the goal for the testing, right, to reassure that the product fits, but meets the requirements. If they met, green flag to go. And if you are, as a QA engineer, can give this flag quickly without interruption of the delivery process, you're the god of this company.
I hope we get a pay raise. So any more questions? Okay, Sock, right here. There we go.
I'm curious advice for people that are early in their careers, because I think those of us that use GPT, for example, realize it can do a lot of things, but you have to guide it. You have to have some sense of what it should be doing. So I can see somebody coming out of undergrad and jumping right into using generative AI, but not having the wisdom and the experience that so many of you have. So any advice for people that are early in their career in terms of developing their wisdom and the right way to think about this journey that they're on?
Sure. Advice for junior folks or new folks to the scene. Go ahead.
Oh, you guys are in a deep water right now.
So I'll sound very two-sided on this one. One, if you're young in your career and you don't have the experience that I guess we'll say us, but that might be out there, all the better. Go in ignorant and just enjoy AI and all that it does for you, and learn a new way of thinking, as opposed to being tainted by the years of experience and the skepticism. Okay, so that's one side. The other side is you can actually learn a lot of this experience through the Gen AI. So in my session, we were talking about ask ChatGPT to create this automation, and then it will explain to you what the automation does and how to apply the automation. So now I don't have to go out and do all of this research that for us, it took years to acquire all of this experience, right, on how to do automation. And now you can ask ChatGPT and it will teach you right there in whatever language you want, how to write the automation, how to set it up. Because I recently had to do this for a website. I haven't built a website in years, and there's all sorts of new cool tools out there to help you build websites, right? Well, I don't know what those are. Hey, ChatGPT, help me write a menu, right, that's responsive. And boom, it creates a menu that's responsive. And I can look at it and say, oh, yeah, okay, I see how that has changed. Or I don't care. As long as the menu works, great, right? And as a tester, I test it, make sure it works, and I ship it. Because again, what part, maybe we get too caught up on details instead of remembering what the problem was. The problem for me was I wanted to build a website. I don't actually care in this instance how the website is built, right? Now, as testers, you all may care greatly how it was built. But as somebody who was just trying to get a website built, I didn't care the details on the back end. I just need that website built. And that was incredible to see. And again, as a tester, I did test it, but I didn't care about the details on how. I cared that it worked. So think about those two sites. Let's not taint the newbies, right? Let's let them go in and learn and probably teach us new ways to do things because we're skeptical and think, no, this is how it's supposed to be. And they may say, yeah, okay, another example. I had an intern, not a tester, okay? Definitely not a tester, okay? Don't hire him as a tester. But he came in and said, I bet I can get ChatGPT to do everything that you guys are doing. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. I don't think you understand what ChatGPT is, and I don't think you know what we do. And within a week, he had ChatGPT writing automation, fixing the automation when it broke, and checking the automation in all by itself. And I'm thinking, first off, that's crazy and we need to test that. And second, that's really impressive. And none of us thought that it could do that because we're all skeptical. So instead of being skeptics, which I appreciate and we should be, but take a moment and be both sides. Be optimistic and be skeptical at the same time. And that will make us better testers as well as more productive.
Yeah, it's a great point. Just wanted to say one thing. If I was to give advice to juniors, and this is how, like, I think it should look. Going with all the optimism in the world, but also going with the mind of first discovering how your model works. One of the things that we talked about on Tuesday in the prompt engineering tutorial, because a lot of times people will see all these magical things. Oh, here's your top 10 prompts for ChatGPT and blah, blah. I tell people stay away from that. That makes it look like there's a magic recipe for everything. And instead, what we should be developing is pattern thinking. In other words, there's different ways to interact with this model. You can converse with it. You can give it commands, queries. You can ask it to play a different role. As you interact with it, look for those cues. Like we look for cues in our life all the time. If something happens over here, we recognize that this is a problem and we try to apply and tack on a solution. This is the same thing once you're interacting with these models. You try to do something. You try to get it to generate automation. You realize it goes this way. Oh, I don't like when it does that. Or I don't like when you're so verbose and chatty in the beginning. I just want you to give me my results. So, no intro, outro. I don't want you to give me all that. Just give me my results. Keep down the noise, right? I wish we could apply some of this at home, but that's another story. But like this kind of thinking and applying it towards the use of these models, I would put that there as well, so that you don't get kind of blinded by being overly critical, but at the same time, you don't give it too much trust, and you still are the one in control. You're still the driver. You're still the test designer. You're still the coder in command of how this model works, and you're guiding it towards what you want it to do, right? All right. Any other questions? Let's take one more question. All right, I got this one here. SOC is coming your way. Remember to speak into the SOC. Oh, no. Sorry. I saw your hand first. No, apologies. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So my question would be easy and probably for most of you. And I think I've asked this question over these days to some of you already. Do you use AI or ML? And what do you use it for in your daily life, in your daily job? So kind of 2, 3 key tools that you use and for what?
I'll
Practically.
let y'all go first on this.
I'll go real quick. So I use ChatGPT all the time, but I'm going to switch to Perplexity because Dione recommended it, and but it'll just be LLMs, and I use it as often as I remember to. So I just, like Stacy mentioned, just asking it random questions. Write this thing for me. How should I address this with my child? You know, whatever, and just see what it does. Because as testers, I just want to see what it does.
Yes, same similar answer. I use it every day. I've taught my 65-year-old mother to use ChatGPT in French, and I use it every day. You know, you use it for your marriage. Like, how do I talk to my husband? Remove anger. You know, you. Yes, yes. You use it every day, and again, I'm not somebody that like to prescribe tool because most of them don't pay me. But again, find tools that works for you. You know, generate picture like a beautiful keynote that Tari have to use it for what desire to use it, and also be skeptical about what it give you. Don't focus on I always need to use it, but test it and see, is it matching what I need? That's how I use it. In testing, yes. In coming up with strategy for organization, I throw in my own strategy and ask him if it makes sense. I tell my 5-year-old have the confidence of ChatGPT. So just to tell you that, use it every day.
Yeah, I use it every day. People ask me to send them intros and testimonials and recommendations. I don't like doing that stuff at all. I'm more of a techie, so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to tell you what I know about this person and what I like. Can you make this into a really nice intro or a really nice testimonial? So I do that every day. I used it yesterday. And then there's a marketplace of GPTs, and every day there's a new marketplace. So I try one every day. There's a recipe one where it's like, okay, I've got 3 eggs, some butter, and a piece of meat. Like, what could I make with this, right? And it'll give you some really good recipes. So there's like really cool things to just try. Like, or I'll upload this PDF and be like, I have no time to read this. What do I need? What are my takeaways? And it'll give me my takeaways. It'll read the PDF for me. So it's been very useful.
I will second on that again. Yeah, but about the recipe, I've tried it once and it was disgusting. Yeah, actually, but probably there was like GPT 3.5. That's right.
You gotta keep trying.
Yeah, I have to retry it. Give it another try. Yeah, I use the Chat GPT every single day, every single moment. I mean, like I have this window open all the time, and I would say that, and I would not lie if I would say that I use it instead of the Google in most of the cases. The reason why, because in case of the Google, you have to, if you search something, you have to be specific to find something you're searching, and you probably have to know something what you're searching already. It's kind of the answer while you're looking for the answer. With the ChatGPT, I can explain whatever the shit I have in my head and what I want to get out of it, and it actually gives me a pretty good, decent response. And I said, okay, how can I Google it? Done. And I go to Google and practically find whatever I need. That's one of the options to find it. Any other moment when you read the response in email from me and it sounds so grammatically correct, again, because English my third language, and if it sounds grammatically correct, just that was reviewed by the Chat GPT. What I do, I just fix the grammar, and it works like a charm. It's like a daily routine, daily use. I speak with my wife by myself. It still works. I'm happily married, so no issues there. But I assume that probably may work vice versa for her, because it's sometimes complicated to speak with a man. Anyway, for the working perspective, we're experimenting with that on a deeper level to actually take a look into the code, fix that, try to generate steps, how you will resolve these things step by step. Assume you have those agents like AI bots in excess, which can do that and that. Please generate me step-by-step instruction. Now generate me the code, assuming all the information you collected. It might be like a rabbit hole we're going down with the way more detailed stuff, which might be generated by that. But still, if you don't know how to work with that and how to prompt this thing correctly on your daily routine stuff, you won't be proficient enough, like sufficient, proficient, whatever. You won't be effective to do the engineering prompting. You won't be effective as an engineer going down to that, because you have to know those things. These things have the limitation. It doesn't work like for everything. It's not like one thing fits all. It's not, but it have a pretty common understanding on the things in general, and we have to actually leverage it for the next stages.
All right, Diony?
Yeah, I'll just add something quickly. I think explainability is a really powerful thing that I use it all the time for. So if there's a concept that I'm not familiar with, if there's a piece of code that I'm trying to figure out what it's doing, maybe it's using some new technology that I've never used before, I use it to help me understand and to help me learn that technology and potentially give me hints as to what other areas I should dig into to learn even more about some of the things that I want to learn about.
Awesome. So I let him go first because now I don't have much to add, right? Except I definitely do not use it to talk to my wife. I don't think we have that level of intelligence yet embedded in this technology. So I try to do that myself, and I think I might do a better job. But I mean, Lisette pointed out, like I use it. I have to use it for work for a lot of things because I'm trying to figure out how to best use it for testing. So I'm using it a lot there. And then when I decide to use it just on my own, it's usually kind of at random because I'm bored. Like last night, I knew we had the lightning talk to do, and I didn't really feel like I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I had an idea, and I didn't want to put together a whole bunch of slides. And I literally just like use it to generate the whole thing. The whole story that I gave yesterday about the two types of bakers was something that I generated using ChatGPT, including all the images, including everything. And then what I wanted to say at the end of that story was all me, right? And I generated images based on what I wanted to say about the testing community and the differing views. So I'll use it just for things like that I feel, you know, just this would be cool, right? So because I have to use it for work, then I use it for fun, and the times that I guess maybe it is still a little bit of work when I come to present here, but I don't know. But anyway, one last question before we talk. I mean, I had a friend here that I want to make sure you get your question in. I know we're probably near time, but you did have your hand up the same time as my friend. Go ahead.
So with AI products, data is code, right? So how do we validate the quality of data? Because in traditional software testing, it's easy. You're testing application code, it's true. I mean, pass or fail, it's easy. But with data, it's changing every day. And you talked about reinforced learning in one of your sessions. And if it's changing as a tester, how do I test for accuracy?
Yeah, so I'll actually take this one because we had a whole tutorial on Tuesday morning. I know some people were in here for that tutorial on AI and ML, like quality engineering for those systems. And it talks about the fact that like you have to, every part of the machine learning process when it comes to preparing your data, to collecting it, to actually validating the data, every single part of ML engineering, including post-release. Now you have a system that can adapt and change at runtime. Like there's a whole testing strategy for that. So how do you test it? I think that's still up to everyone in this room to start contributing to. What I do know is that we have to test every single portion of it, both pre-release and post-release. I think hopefully like we armed a bunch of folks in here to really think critically about that. And there's some resources online as well. But this is the challenge for us. And I think actually, it brings in like my last question to kind of round it up. If we can say a final word, it like really will shape our future for this. Whether or not we can get this building and engineering and testing of machine learning right will really depend on if we can trust it in the future, or if we have, we haven't mentioned this yet. I saved this for the end, but the AI apocalypse, right? Where it all takes over. And literally, I know people aren't like on the fence about this, but it is a real concern in my mind. So with that, I'll leave it to the panel. Say one or two words on what you think about the future and where we're going, and be as
I can
optimistic
start
or
and chime in.
pessimistic as
Oh,
possible.
guys, we are in trouble.
+1.
We like based on our experiments with the embeddings and the decision trees and the agents, those AI agents, we actually been able to achieve the generation of the test automation code, which is like 80% good. And when I say 80, we do compare the human effort in minutes to, let's say, implement something, and then generated stuff which have to be just debugged for the execution.
Yeah, Lisa is still not convinced. 80%.
80%
I don't
in
think she
time.
believes you.
In time. Like how much time we save, and we're saving, let's say, 80% of it, and that's a big trouble. The other aspect was, I mean, like, just don't be scared. If we will have all the menus for the websites generated by the hallucinating AI, probably we have to test it even more. Because you never know what's behind of that. You might be having nice visual aspect, but that should be tested, because the thing which sits behind it might be super duper unreliable and just does the only thing which you asked it, but never address anything which is like goes beyond the boundary or anything like that. So the future is very bright. For the agents, right? But well, I hope we will test even more than we did it previously.
All right. Kevin, you want to say?
Well, I think the future is bright, but I don't have all those caveats. I'm super excited for a robot that will do all sorts of tasks for me in my house. I think that I can't get one fast enough, and if the price would come down, I'd buy one now, even though the only thing it can do is move some dishes from one side of the table to the other. I think that'd be cool, and I'd watch it all day long. Now, on the other hand, we have a lot of testing to do. So I'm very, very optimistic on all the cool stuff that AI and robots will do now and in the very near term. But I'm also, we all have jobs for a long time, and those who continue to develop their skill set will have jobs forever. And I drive a Tesla that has full self-driving, and if it's scaring Tariq today after 10 years of work, it's got another 10 years before it's really going to, drive itself, which means we've got a very long time before AGI comes.
All right.
I'm gonna say that my Tesla drove me from Miami to here.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and
We
your
can
family,
definitely get into
not
this
me and my
debate later,
family.
because I totally agree with that, by the way. Until they do an update, and then your car won't make it out of the parking lot.
All
Yes,
right.
yes.
All right. Lisa?
Yes, the future is bright, definitely from the technology perspective. My concern is from the human perspective, because we have a lot of bad agents that are using AI unethically, and that's where I'm mostly concerned. Just like anything, there's always two facets. There's the positive, and I think as technologists, we are taking care of the positive. But as human being, I'm really concerned how we're gonna leverage it in the future. So.
Awesome. Stacy?
I think as long as we continue to upskill, we're going. The future is bright for us. We're in a great position, and for the testers that have been insecure in the past about being technical enough, because I think that is a decent sized group of us. But I think this gives us like our technical, I call it Iron Man suit, right? Like we are already good, but this is going to give us that Iron Man suit that we can do really incredible things with. We just got to suit up. That's it.
Awesome. Diony, any final?
Yeah, I think that it's an exponential curve. I really think so. I think where we are today is just the beginning, and the technology is going to continue to get better at a pace that we're probably going to be even more surprised with. And a year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, the landscape is going to be very different. Every single day, you wake up, you check the news on generative models. There's a new model that just got released that outperforms the previous version, and things are moving so quickly that, and the hardware and the infrastructure required to train these things and run these things is also being invested in heavily and moving very quickly. And so nowadays, these large language models have like 1 trillion something parameters. That's now. I think we're going to be up in the thousands of trillions 5 years from now, and these models are going to be even better. And so I do think it's going to be an exponential curve. And that, to me, is both exciting but also scary. Because we need to, I think actually our jobs are going to be more about testing these systems and figuring out how we're going to keep these systems in control so that we can actually trust them. So our jobs are actually, as testers, are actually going to get harder, and we're going to be even more desired and sought after in the field if you have these skills and capabilities needed to actually test these systems. Because in the future, even for the systems in production, like the menus, like a menu is a simple thing. And it's amazing that an AI can generate a menu for you in terms of writing the code. But 5 years from now, AI is going to be able to generate the entire application, right? Someone's going to say, these are the requirements, and it's going to build the whole thing. And guess who has to test it? We do, right? And, the AI to generate the test cases, we also have to make sure that that's working, right? And so I think the call of duty for us as testers is going to just continue to increase just as exponentially as the technology itself.
Very well said.
You guys remember the time when the test automation appeared, right? And everyone was saying, no more manual testing will die. Are we still testing? Same as here.
All right. So first of all, let me just say thank you to the panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. Please make sure that you rate this session. If you like these interactive sessions, I'm terrible at this. Please do me a favor. You can run and grab like this QR code if you have the app. Please rate the session because that feedback is what helps us to know if we need to have more kind of interactive discussions like this when you come to a conference, or more talks, which I guess are also exciting. But please rate this session so that we have your feedback. It takes a second. And then let me also acknowledge Senor Performo and his team for streaming. Thank you so much. And we'll see you around. Thank you.